Hey friends, welcome to our January edition of our answering your questions and giving you some great answers to those questions and giving you an update on all the things that are happening here at Creekside Nursery and updates on projects. Lots of projects are happening right now. Of course, the nursery is officially closed, has been since right after Thanksgiving, but not for long.
Oh, not for long. We're opening February the 18th.
Yes. So Creekside Nursery will reopen for the 2023 season on Saturday, February the 18th. So if you are local or if you're going to be in the area, we would love for you to stop by, come see us. We're going to have all sorts of fun goodies. In fact, we're in the process of doing some plant orders for some really great, some unique shrubs and trees and different products.
Yes.
Lots of fun stuff. Of course, in addition to the inventory that we grow here at Creekside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just trying to add some variety in there.
Yeah.
And get a few things in, even though we will still face a little bit of a chilliness, frost. A lot of folks like to come in and grab some shrubs and perennials at that time of year. It's a good time to grab those.
Mm-hmm.
Other different products that will be good to stock up on your fertilizers and all that stuff. That's why we want to open up to kind of just be available for our customers during that time.
Yeah, because where we are here in the southeast, we're getting ready to, especially that mid-February, that's a great time to start thinking about fertilizing your existing perennials and trees and shrubs and laying down some compost and, gathering up all your good supplies for the growing season, because it'll be here before,
Yeah, it's
before we know it.
I know it's only like the first week, it seems like, or full week. I don't even know what it is. Full week of January.
Yeah.
But
going in, yeah.
I don't know. This week for me, it seemed like spring is here, and it's not. And then I know it's hard for you to understand, being a grower and being that we're responsible for growing plants and retail, and things are coming. We have perennials coming. We have annuals coming the following week. We're gearing up and we're trying to get ready for opening. We're trying to make sure everything is ready to go for our customers that do come to Creekside Nursery. At the same time, we're trying to finish up big projects. We're trying to finish up our building for shipping, all those things. Production, all that. We're going to pick up our potting machine this week. And bring that back. We decided to go get it ourselves so we can get it faster and have it up here ready to go for next week.
That's right.
That's in the nutshell of what's happening real quick here.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, it's coming along. We've got some really good questions.
We do. And I did it again, so I have them all here on my phone, but we kind of did it in that same format we did last month, where it's not, the questions are not related. Like, I'm not going to go through them by video. I'm just going to go through them by questions, because a lot of those questions that people asked or comments that they had were kind of repetitive. Like, we saw those a couple of times throughout. So
yeah, one of the ones that we've repetitively seen over and over and over again, it's been going on for some time. We have ignored it and we have moved forward, and I don't know, I guess it was just the other week. I just had to say, well, you know what, maybe we just ought to talk about ourselves a little more again. It's just that we get a lot of comments of, Jenny, you're like Laura, you're just like Laura, you're doing this like Laura. First and foremost, I like to say is that, I find that a high compliment. She's done very well. Erin and Laura have done a fantastic job of starting a YouTube channel. Started their YouTube channel and at a great time. They've gained a lot of great traction with proven winners. They've done some really fabulous things, and it is inspiring. I do find it very much inspiring.
yeah.
To say it doesn't influence us, it would be not true. But to say that, you copy her or you're just like her, sometimes there are, and it's craziest things. We will talk about it. It's like, darn, they just did that video on green velvet boxwoods, and we've already done one, and it's getting ready to come out the next day.
Well, I'll never forget. So it was last year when we planted the ginkgo tree behind us. There's a little, we had a ginkgo tree, and we literally, she planted a ginkgo and I planted a ginkgo at the exact same time. And the videos came out like a day apart from each other.
Yeah.
So, and to say too, first of all, we have a fantastic relationship with Laura and Aaron. I mean, we are friends. We have been together multiple times. So there is absolutely zero competition between us. I mean, we definitely consider them our friends. Jerry and Aaron especially talk on a constant basis back and forth about all sorts of things. But yes, I mean, she definitely inspires us and influences us, just like my mom is a great gardener and she inspires and influences me. We have friends, my customers, you other viewers who have said, oh, well, you know, maybe try this or do that. We take, I think as gardeners, we take inspiration from whatever we see. So whether it's you're visiting a local botanical garden, or you're visiting your friend, or you're looking at a magazine, or it's TikTok or YouTube or whatever it is, a lot of times we'll see those things and you're like, oh, I could really do this in my garden. Tweak it and make it your own. So that's where we find inspiration. It's not like...
See, what the difference is, and this is what I think is the key thing, this was the one that I guess it kind of just, it was not awful at all. It was that you're, you know, I can't remember, it was you're
turning into Laura.
Turning into Laura by whatever it was. I don't want to get too detailed with it because I think the person was
she's
just
not being ugly.
sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, we're just being Jerry and we're being Jenny. And we've been Jerry and Jenny as together as husband and wife for 22 years.
Yes.
23 years come this summer.
Right.
You know, ever since we were husband and wife, we would go and stroll the Home Depot, and we would stroll
Friday
for
night.
projects and do things. So what you're seeing now, you're just happening now seeing it. We've been on YouTube for 3 years. We've been growing for 17 years. Creekside has been in existence for 17 years. Just not always on YouTube.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I would say projects around here have amped up. That we have seen that it helps our brand. So we enjoy doing that. We enjoy helping our customers. We enjoy giving them all the information. But what you're seeing now is what we've been working on for 21 years, and it's just now coming to light. It's coming to in the camera. We've been doing these things. We did it in our first little house that we bought, and we would do projects after projects, but none of that was on camera.
Right. Right.
You know, so we've been tinkering around with projects and plants for quite some time.
Right.
And
This is not new to us.
It's not new. Tulips are not new to us. You know, mulch is not new to me. You know, so, and then we take our whole new realm of, you know, we have our greenhouse operation, we have plenty of expansion. We have on this property over 32 acres to expand gardens and content. It's just over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So it's just something I just wanted to talk about. I don't know, maybe it's not, you know, worth it or not to talk about. I just wanted to kind of mention it in a way.
Kind of address the elephant in the room sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
I think sometimes too. And then, but otherwise, you know, we have a big 2023 season planned ahead. We have, you know, just like I said, annuals coming in to get ready to get potted up. We have tons of content and material. We've got stuff on video that's coming. We have ideas that we're going to do.
We've got a ton of, little teaser, we've got a ton of new plants, trial plants from multiple companies headed our way this spring. So that is really fun to share with you these new plants that are either going to be on the market or they have just entered onto the market, and so we're excited about having those arrive sometime. I think it'll be like late February, beginning of March is when they will start to arrive. So of course we will take you along for the ride on that. So lots of fun new plants to the market that are going to be headed our way.
And if you haven't watched the video on the top 10 shrubs, and there are top 10 shrubs for us that we have seen that we know that grow well here in the South, you need to go back and grab that and watch that, because they may not be readily available where you are, or they may not be. These are shrubs that you could go and tell your local garden center, I want, you know, Perfecto Mundo series of azaleas from Proven Winners. Right. Because they're huge flowers, massive flowers.
Beautiful plants.
The gardenia is one of the top performing garden. Everybody knows how picky a gardenia can be.
If you're a southerner, you do.
Yes. So those things, those do really well here for us. So go back and grab that and check that thing out.
Yep. And we have a couple of questions that somewhat kind of deal with that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. So these are in no particular order. I will say that. Look at that. It was our first question, just perfectly planned. Totally planned that, y'all. So this comes from Ed. Ed says, hello, Jenny. Thank you for your video today. This was the top 10 shrubs. I'm curious, you mentioned in the past that your nursery has sold numerous double play candy corn spirea. Very popular shrub. Can you explain why you selected double play Doozy versus candy corn? Thank you for your time. So, yes. So, Ed, it's an excellent question and very observant question, I would say also. So if you were watching the top 10 shrubs, and I talked about that Doozy just has performed like a really strong, hardy spirea, and even when we get maybe like a late freeze or a hard freeze after it has already flushed out, that it doesn't miss a beat and it just keeps its foliage, whereas other spireas completely melt and they have to start all over again. Well, that was candy corn. So candy corn is a gorgeous shrub, and it is a fantastic performer. We do sell tons of them at the nursery because they are so striking and so beautiful. However, I would say that they're not as hardy, tough, resilient.
It just goes back to last year,
use.
February, and we got to 18 degrees, and Doozy took the 18 degrees without melting down. So to me, that says I'm a strong plant.
Right.
And so, but the candy corn came back. It took it a while, but it did come back, and it was beautiful.
It did great.
You get candy corn for that color, that impact, but the Doozy has multiple colors too, and it performs really well in the garden. And you can cut it back, and it can really flush out and look really gorgeous with all its different foliage and colors. So that's why we chose it.
So that's why we chose the Doozy, is because it is hardier and tougher, and I would say a little bit more resilient. Not to say that that candy corn is a bad plant. It's not whatsoever. It's just that Doozy in that aspect outperformed it.
Plants have different pluses and minuses.
Yes, absolutely. So this comes from Lloyd. He says, I have laurels, soft touch hollies, and a few other evergreens in my yard. We had temps below 0 around Christmas, and my shrubs turned brown. Some of them are dropping leaves now. Do you think I'll have to replace them, or will they come back in the spring? I'm in Middle Tennessee. Thanks. Well, honey, we're all, I think, in that same category.
Yeah, we're all in that category.
We did a video about it was 1 week after that Arctic blast came through here, and we showed you some of that damage that we had. It was that same thing as those cold temperatures. We got down to 7, but for us it was also the incredible cold, dry wind that was pretty sustained throughout that day that did a lot of damage. So we suffered a lot of damage on my tea olives, loropetalums, my evergreen viburnums, those things, and they just, like my azaleas and loropetalums, sweet talker, completely brown. My tea olives, not so much brown. There was some brown in them, but they have just, one side is very, very thin. I mean, just like tons of leaves on the ground. But the good news is that you can already see the new little leaf buds popping out. So I am telling everybody, and I have seen this I'm not the only one saying this, multiple horticulturists have said, do not do anything. Don't trim, don't rip out, just leave everything alone. And this will go for all kind of plants that happened with that damage.
Yeah, this is like
wait until the spring.
Yes,
wait until the spring. Let those consistent warm temperatures come up. See what happens, and they could completely flush back out. And then, I mean, I hate for you to rip out a shrub when it's perfectly fine. It just lost its leaves.
Yeah, this is one of those moments in horticulture, and this can be said over just planting a shrub for the first time, is you have to put your patient pants on.
I like that. That's going to be a t-shirt. Put your patience pants on.
I mean, you're going to have to just settle down, wait on it, and see what happens. Don't get out there. Don't listen to anyone that says, might as well just be done with that. I had that happen to me 10 years ago when the frost of 19 79 came, and or whenever it was, and it, but it might be the same,
Right.
So you just got to be patient.
Right. We're only talking about a couple of months here at the most. I've always said gardening teaches you patience, and this is definitely one of those cases. Just settle down. It's all right, especially if your plant is dormant. Like if it's a deciduous shrub, like hydrangeas, I am not concerned the least bit about my hydrangeas or my roses of Sharon.
4 plant.
Right.
So that the temperature that came through here was just like a nothing for that plant.
Yes.
And it's just to teach you patience and teach you that even when you plant a new shrub, that you're going to have to wait on that thing a year or two, and it's going to give it you its glory.
And I would say to go with that, like directly behind us, I don't think you can see it in the video. It's hard to see anyway if it was in there. But the Little Lime Punch hydrangeas. So our folks over at Proven Winners sent us 3 Little Lime Punches. We're going into the 3rd year now. And it was already pretty warm here when they sent it to me. And that first year, I was just trying to keep them alive. There was very little foliage on it, and there was 0 blooms. And that was because it's in a hot, full sun, and it came during a hot time. So that first year, if I were to, judge that plant on how it performed that first year, I would have failed it right away. But that's not fair to the plant. Come then fast forward to this past year, 2022, spectacular. It was established, it had gone through the winter, it had good roots, it had sustained, the heat of the summer, that initial one. It was stunning last year. So this year, they're going to be even better. So be patient. That's the lesson for today. Be patient. All right, this one.
I tell myself that all the time.
We're going to tattoo it on our forehead so we can read it off of each other.
So we're all in the same boat. It's fine.
We are. Humans are impatient people.
Yep.
Lynn says, how do you keep deer from decimating your hydrangeas? I was also under the impression that hydrangeas must have acidic soil. I live in the South, and other than oak leaf hydrangeas, I have yet to see any other hydrangeas. So, just in the South. So we'll start with the first one.
Depends on where you're at in the South.
Right. How do you keep deer from decimating your hydrangeas? We are out in the country, like Jerry said. We have 32 acres total. We are surrounded by tons and tons of woods. We have deer. I see their little hoof prints when I go walking in the morning all the time. We've only had a case of a little bit last year where they were nibbling on the annuals and the trial beds, but roses, but they for the most part, they have in our yard have never touched our stuff. And I really think a lot of that has to do with because they have their natural food and habitat has not been disturbed. So I am not the one to ask about deer pressure. I know Erin from Impatient Gardener, I believe she deals with deer a lot. So if you have deer questions, hop on over to her channel and search for that.
There are some new sprays out that there's some that are better than the others, and now I'm kind of lost at words at the name of that one, and they say it smells like rotten eggs.
Right. Well, and we have heard that if you have to spray for your deer, to come up with like 3 different kinds of sprays and rotate them so that there's constantly a different smell in your garden. So that's question number 1. I'm also under the impression that hydrangeas must have acidic soil. No, that's false. So if you have acidic soil, you're going to have, and you have the old, like the macrophylla hydrangeas, then they're going to be blue. But if you don't have acidic soil, then they're going to be pink. So you do not have to have acidic soil. So that like is not true.
Limelight and all your panicles, they don't care. They're white.
So with hydrangeas, there's either what we call pH dependent. So that means the soil pH will determine the color of your blooms. And then there are color specific hydrangeas. No matter what your pH is, it is going to be that color no matter what. So you don't have to have acidic soil. So if that's helpful, great, go get you a hydrangea. And then depending on where you are in the South, if you are in the deep South, if you're in a zone 9,
you're going
to struggle because the vast majority of hydrangeas really go to like a zone 8, and then it just gets really hot. I do know that Southern Living, their white wedding, I was looking at it today, goes to a 9B. So if you're interested in that, check out some of the Southern Living's plants, because sometimes they'll be more heat tolerant. And like I said, that White Wedding is a gorgeous panicle, and it's to zone 9B. So, but yeah, oak leaves are great. We love oak leaves. All right, this is from Kayla. This was great. Just taking you notes. This was again the top 10 shrubs. I was taking notes as you went. You said on the Caryopteris to cut it back hard in early spring. They are only 2 feet tall, so are you saying to cut it to half the size or 2 to 3 inches above the ground? Sorry to sound picky, I just want to do it right. I always appreciate you, thanks. So with Caryopteris, I mean, you're going to cut it really severe. So I would say like 6 to 8 inches tall, because all of that's going to come back new growth from the plant, and so you're going to like really cut it. So don't be afraid to cut your Caryopteris. I ended up cutting mine. I had to cut mine because I put it in the ground later in the season, and in that process some of it got damaged, because Caryopteris can be kind of brittle. Like if you kind of, sometimes if you look at it wrong, a branch will just break. But the good news is that once you get it in the ground and get it established, all of it will flush back out. So I did go ahead and cut mine back pretty severe. And I was trying to remember when Spring Meadow sent us ours in the spring.
No, I found that thing when it was in full bloom, and I had no idea it was there.
I kept telling him it's going to be a great plant, it's going to be a great plant, and he was like, yeah. And then it started blooming, and he came to me, he was like, what is that thing? And I was like, this is the plant I've been telling you about.
In the garden, you know, and it's just like, it is a showstopper, baby.
Yes, it doesn't bloom until late summer, early fall, but man, once it does, it is worth the wait. It is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. All right, next question is from Brian and Tammy. This is when in the video we're talking about installing the heater at the Production 1 greenhouse, and I was in Production 2 where the heater already is, and I was giving an example. And Brian and Tammy, have very good eyes, because they said at 3:45 mark there are potted plants in the background. What are those? Love watching you. So,
yeah. I mean, they are a selection of annuals that are there: geraniums, petunias, dahlias. Dahlias are the big deal there. So we have, you know, companies that send us stuff to try out. So they're trials.
Yes.
So we're just kind of growing those out.
Yeah, we're playing with those. So they send them to us, and so that way we can grow them out. We can see how they perform, how they look. Do we like them? Because we like to know if a plant's really good before we promote it.
It's just, we're just kind of playing.
We're doing a little research, so that way we can bring you the best plants out there on the market. All right, this is Carolyn. Hi, Jenny. Everything is looking great, but how are they going to, this is back to the production, how are they going to be able to put the house wrap and siding on the wall between the hallways that separate the annex from the greenhouse to make it weather tight?
Ladders.
Right, so. And
then you're able to do some things up top with a smaller wrap that is from the roof.
Yes. Yeah. It is very tight, because when you have the production annex, and then you've got the 3 buildings that come off of it. And there is, like, we can walk between the greenhouses. It's narrow. We did that on purpose. It's probably, what, 2 feet? I mean, it's enough for one person to walk between the houses. And there is also room, once you go down the house, you can either turn to the right or to the left, and then you would hit the little wall of the annex, the hallway that comes in.
And the little hallways have provided a very nice stable roof, because it's not a very steep roof, and you can get up there and you can take care of a lot of cool things. Like,
it's a good view too.
It's a good view. You can get to the peak of the greenhouse easy now, you know, compared to being on a ladder or in a tractor or something crazy like that.
Oh wow, don't get me started.
Yeah. So then, I think it's going to have to be, we use some big wide wrap on the other side. You're not going to be able to do that over here. So it will be probably like 4 foot wide stuff. Easier to manage, and, you know, knock it out.
It is. I will try, when we go back up to Annex and we do another video, I will try to show that perspective, and maybe we can just get the drone up. I think the drone would be probably a better, like a bird's eye view to show
Yeah, I think
how all
once
that
we get
connects.
there and we got the roofs on and everything and it's
Yep.
all taken care of, we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll get that on next time we're up there. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm just probably gonna butcher your name. Chantel Dutch Girl.
Hey.
Yeah. So this is when we were back in the garden back here, just in this back garden behind me. How old is that David Austin Rose arbor? Mine will bloom for a second time, and I would like to know if it will be a full-grown rose this year. So over my right-hand shoulder, that's where the little pathway that goes from this patio to our driveway, and we have a arbor there, and on each side is the climbing rose from David Austin. It is the Generous Gardener. There is a rose on each side of the arbor that's planted, and then they climb up and then meet in the middle. We are entering into year 3 with that rose, and last year, so pictures that you would have seen last year, was its second year in the ground. So this is a third year rose, and it is a very, it's not out of control, but it is a very vigorous, it's a very happy plant, and so it grows quite rapidly. I mean, it is a climbing rose, and I mean, even that first year, it made really great progress. So that's the one thing that I do really appreciate about David Austin roses. I get them as bare roots in Marches, so like early spring, put them straight in the ground, but they have such great strong root systems and strong healthy genetics that, man, they just, if you put them in the right place, they're very happy and take off and do really well.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, next question comes from Dr. TCBKK. Can you remind me about the macrophylla types of hydrangeas? No pruning at all, or prune early spring. So we did a video pretty early on in our YouTube career about the different types of hydrangeas and how you can take care of them. So I'll break that down. So I will try to link it above, and then I'll also have it in the video description. But directly to answer your question, the macrophylla hydrangeas bloom on old growth. So it's best not to prune them at all. However, sometimes plants get to be large and they need to be pruned. So the best time to prune it is immediately after it flowers. So let it flower out, enjoy those flowers for a couple of weeks, then prune it however you need to. Use those flowers in vases, give them away, do whatever, dry them, whatever you want to do with them. That way the plant has plenty of time left in your growing season to flush back out with new growth, and at that time they're going to be setting their bud set. So because they make their buds that year, they hold on to them, and then they use them the following year. If you do it too late in the season, you might forfeit your blooms for the following year. But again, we go back to that patience thing that I've talked to people, and I'm like, if it's just too big and it's overtaking your space and you need to prune it, go ahead and prune it. Just know you're gonna not have blooms for one season. But in the long run, it's what's best for the plant, it's what's best for you, so do it that way.
Yep.
But they do bloom on old growth. So, there we go. Marilyn said, it is so hard to believe that you can still plant spring bulbs this late. I still have some more to do.
Yeah.
I have to put mine in by October. Sometimes I can still plant in November, depending on when my ground freezes. Can't wait to see the updates. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Jerry and I it was almost 2,000 bulbs in the ground.
It was crazy.
And then I went and ordered more.
Yeah.
He really gave me the look. It's going to be gorgeous, y'all. But the reason I chose this question, or statement rather, it's not even a question, it's just a statement. I think that this is a great example of being a student of your own garden. So yes, we are in North Carolina, Zone 7B. We're in the southeast U.S. Maryland obviously is somewhere pretty cold because her ground freezes. Our ground never freezes. So it's so important. So what I say, as far as especially like a timeline that we do in our garden, you're going to do that exact same thing in your garden, probably no matter where you live, but it could be at a different point on the calendar. So you can still use that great information, but you have to be a student of your garden and know, well, I can't plant bulbs in January. I have to do what she's doing in, September or October. that kind of thing. Or I'm pruning my roses and my panicle hydrangeas right now. Well, Marilyn could be under 4 feet of snow. Obviously, she's not going out there and pruning her shrubs right now, but in 6 to 8 weeks, she's going to need to, so she can still use that information and do it that way.
I mean, honestly, we have such like spikes of weather come February where it'll get warm at times and you think it's spring.
The plants think it's spring.
We have to start thinking about how do we prevent weeds from coming up in our fescue right now. And it's January the 10th.
Right.
And it used to be Valentine's Day.
Right.
That's sure. And it still is, but it's almost a little better to get a little of that stuff out there in Zone 7B in our area now.
Right. Well, and that just goes like for roses. I mean, I'm in the process of pruning my roses, whether it doesn't matter who, the breeder is. They're all, quote, the same in that aspect that they have to be pruned. Mine are already trying to push out leaves. Mm-hmm. Like I have new leaves coming out, and you can see the little bud swells where the leaves are, the leaf buds are swelling. So, yeah. So anyway, be a student of your own garden so that you know your timeline on when you're supposed to do things in your garden. Tina says, talking about just all the different projects that are going on, exciting times. I love watching these projects come together. Thank y'all so much for taking us along. Question, how will y'all handle the water runoff from the hallway rooftops up at Annex? Will the water collecting in that space between the greenhouse and the Annex cause any problems?
No.
No. That's the Jerry answer.
It's not a concern.
Well, and why is it not a concern?
Well, it's
do you have
very little water that's going to hit that roof to begin with, and number two, we have French drains in there, and it's all sloping that on its way out that way, towards the front of the greenhouses, away from the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to get at. Juju says no. I'm trying to explain to you why he's not concerned about it. He's not concerned about it because when we built those greenhouses, we knew that you got to do something with the water. So before the greenhouse structures were even up, we were installing French drains.
Yeah, and even that, when the guys had the dozer out here and they graded that pad to slope a certain way, so you never really, unless you just go in there craziness and change it. So it slopes away.
Right.
And so we've had some major rain since those little roofs have been put up, and we have had zero issues from that. And they're small. That's not but 2 feet wide and 8 feet long.
So you're talking about
16
square feet.
It's very little water. Even when they were open and the concrete was there and there was no roof, we were barely getting any kind of water.
Yep.
On the walkways there, so that was a good sign to begin with.
Yep.
I mean, anything can happen. I mean, it's just the way it is. You just deal with it if something comes to be an issue.
Right.
But I very seriously doubt it.
Yeah, but we have had a couple people ask about the water issue and where water is going to go and everything.
Right.
And that, it's a very valid, and it's something that you need to absolutely think about, and it's also, my word, we've talked about it before, there's nothing flat here where we live, and so Jerry, you don't stop water, you just tell water where to go, or you try to tell water where to go.
We're always
messing with water. Aurelie A. Jenny, any suggestions on pruning? I live in Texas Zone 9B. My roses are full of leaves and new buds all over. See, that's what I'm talking about. Should I prune anyway? I would. So if you've not pruned your roses at all and they're already leafing out, then I would absolutely cut them. Yep. You may just delay your blooms by just like a week or two, but it's better to go ahead and prune them because they bloom on new growth. You're going to get nice strong stems. You're going to get better flower power. It is absolutely better to go ahead and delay your blooms, it may not even delay them at all. But go ahead and prune them just as they should be done, and you're going to have a happier, healthier plant in the long run. So see, again, here we go. She only did that question 3 days ago. So she's a 9B, I'm a 7B. And
she's warming up.
And she's Texas. Yeah, she's in Texas. Woo. So that's why my information is probably a little too late for her. Right? She should have done it maybe a month ago. But, so that's where I'm saying. Yeah, yes. Go ahead and prune your roses. All right, that was the last question I had for today.
Very good.
It's
So
good because the sun's going down and my
sun's
hands are
going
getting
down.
cold.
I'm ready to get me another cup of coffee and kind of chill out tonight and have a good evening. And
Yeah. Is there anything
get
we
ready
needed to
for
talk? I felt like there was
tomorrow.
something that we needed to address.
Nothing
like
else
something-
we need to address. Is just be prepared for spring 2023, and we have tons of content coming, and
February 18th.
hopefully we'll get our online store rolling. We do have the store up and rolling. It has shirts
T-shirts.
that are there for now. We do have some Felco inventory. We just have not put it on there, and we're getting ready to order. We got some stuff we have to do. So, you know, those kind of things rolling. Yeah, you know, I think that's it.
I think so.
Yep.
All right. As always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.
See you.